Welcome back, YouTube. Again, look guys, we are back. This time we are in it for the long run. So I'm just gonna go over a brief introduction as to what's going on, what's been going on, and kind of where we're going. Today we're gonna jump in with a push session first and foremost. Today's gonna be slightly modified due to a slight niggle of my shoulder. I'm coming to the back end of a sort of recovery phase, sort of the back end of 10, 12 weeks off on recovery. And like I say, it's nearly time to push. Annoyingly, you guys coming in this week, I've picked up a slight niggle. So the modification of this session will be, there'll be no records broken, unfortunately, but it's a perfect time for us to now look at standardizing my form. So pulling back the weight a touch, resetting the logbook, and then pushing up from there. So that'll be kind of today's goal, which I think, to be honest, is incredibly useful. I think it's something we don't do enough, but it's definitely something that we should all do as a whole, because unfortunately, as we do start to get stronger, food's pushing up, we feel fresher, like I say, the weight's going up, our ego can often take over. Sometimes form becomes sloppy, and like I said, this is when you maybe do pick up niggles, and it's just your body telling you to calm down. It's a little bit of a humbling situation. So I think today, it's come at a perfect time. Like I say, strength's been on the fly for the last, I don't know, I can't remember, up and up and up and up. And I think, like I say, naturally my body's just kind of telling me to calm down a touch, so it's come at a good time. So, and I'll explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing that exactly. So these videos now, are going to be much more consistent. We're going to run these once a month with potentially other bits and pieces in between, which is great. Something I know I've promised before, but I'm really keen to kind of push my journey alongside. Look, my journey is now long-winded. I'm not going to compete till 2023, so I'll try and document the journey that way and how we stay motivated for such a long period of time. I know people struggle to maybe stay motivated for shorter bursts, but look, my goal's 52 weeks away potentially, more. So kind of how I will track that, roadmap it, and then progress from there. So that'll be a massive part of it as well. As a coach, now things have progressed for me massively. I'm really looking to work with a really great group of guys who've made some incredible progress this year. So what I want to do is not make this all about me and my journey, but also bring in what's going on with those guys and how I'm looking to advance them off the back of the things that I've learned and spent the time learning over the last couple of years. So look, without any further ado, we're going to jump into the push session. I won't bore you all too much. I'll explain as we go along. I've got some exciting news. There's some new bits coming. There's some new news. So let's just get to it. Okay, so just finishing off our last warm-up set, now going into our first, and to be honest, our only working set. So this set is a little bit different to the norm. As I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of finishing off now the last sort of 10, 12 weeks of a recovery phase, so therefore volume's still relatively low, as we can still manageable for my recovery, and see me still able to progress in terms of strength. So this set will actually consist of first set's 15 to 20 reps to failure. Second set, we'll then rest for 45 seconds, going into our second set, again, same weight but to failure, rest again, 45 seconds, going into our last set to complete failure. As you can see, it's sort of 3 sets within one, therefore it's kind of one larger working set without going into increasing too much volume, but it's enough to continue to create the stimulus that we need. So we'll go in from there, like I say, first working set. Let's go. I like to do that set. That set's very much for, although it's taken to failure and it's there to be progressed, I like to use that first movement for feel. So what I personally do, you might have noticed, is I close my eyes through that set. It's not just me imagining nice things and pretending it doesn't hurt. It allows me to just really have internal sensitivity to feeling the muscle. So when I've got my eyes closed, I like to feel in the stretch, feel both sides are working, and then I like to sort of internally, like I say, feel that contraction. Like I say, it might look odd. Okay, I'm not asleep, I'm there. It's got a purpose. So look, if you're happy to go along with it, it's definitely worth a try, whether it be even on your warm-up sets. It doesn't have to be your working, but try. Say close your eyes and internally feel the movement, and let me know how it goes. So like I mentioned at the start of the session, I'm having a few issues, little niggles with that shoulder. I'm not making excuses for not breaking records today, but it is what it is. So like I mentioned, we're going to standardise form today, standardise some of the lifts, reset the logbook. Well, I've got it in my hand as a prompt. And what I mean by that is, look, progression or progressive overload isn't always weight. You know, people definitely get the misconception that's what they are, and they chase and they allow form to become sloppy. For me, look, if you are trying to lift a certain weight over 10 reps, a true, legit progression is going to be, say, 1 kilo for the exact same reps in terms of form. Like I said, what we do is potentially chase weight, and then maybe 4, 5, 6 reps are great, and then the back end, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 reps are a little bit sloppy. Then that's not true progression, because the form is different, the time under tension on the muscle is different, the stimulus you're applying to the muscle is different. All it allows us to do is bump up our egos, bigger our heads, and tell our mates how much we lift. But look, in terms of true progression, we have to almost leave the ego at the door. Again, something I've learned over the years, I'm still learning now, and look to be honest with ourselves and honest with the book. So the data we put in here has to be correct. Look, for example, if I do those 5, 6, 7, 8 reps with good form, and I do 8, 9, 10 with poor sloppy form, I'll make a note of that. Then next week I'll try and get 8 good reps with 2 sloppy form, and then the week after 9 good reps, 1 sloppy form. That is true progression. It's not almost, and that may see me on a weight for a couple of weeks, rather than saying I boxed off 10 and jumping up. Like I said, I see too many people do it, and I get it, and I've done it. I'm not going to stand here and say I haven't, but I just know from, again, I'm trying to save you guys time and teach you guys some of the experiences or lessons from the experiences that I've had, that the most efficient terms of growth that I've been is when I've been honest with myself and grown at and strengthened at a much slower and consistent rate. Okay, so as you can see with that exercise, again, similar to the first one, we ran through the same premise of 1 set, 45 seconds rest. Again, go to failure, 45 seconds rest, go again. Again, that's kind of 3 sets all into one. Again, allowing us to kind of push load, but it's not creating too much volume to then take away from the rest of our sessions. And why we do the dumbbell press first, as it is much more difficult in the shorter range, in the peak contraction. So kind of putting that further back through the session is going to massively take away. So I like to do that first, or second, my first press. Like I say, it's a lot more difficult in the peak contraction and in the shortened range, so we put that in there first. We're now going to move on to the chest press machine, which is a little bit more difficult actually in the length and range, or to be honest, it's kind of very similar all the way through. So with this one, we're going to work through 2 working sets, moderate rep range. Again, pushing. We're going to try and push load, but not too much crazy volume. So I just want to talk over the last set and a few changes that kind of happened within the sets. So for me, I think it's personally okay to sort of auto-regulate almost sets within. So my first set, obviously I am standardizing form, resetting logbooks. So the first set, I kind of went after it. My rep range was 8 to 10. I managed 14. So then ordinarily my next set would have been the higher rep range, more than 12 to 15. But you know, I'd already kind of broken into that bracket. So for me, I'm happy to then auto-regulate my session to then think, I'll tell you what, I'm going to try a little bit heavier and almost set a new target for the following week for that 8 to 10 rep range. If that makes sense. That's why I would have gone lighter first set almost by accident, again sort of messing around with numbers, and then second set I took it upon myself to try and set a new target for the heavier set next week. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, within your sets, don't be afraid to do that. If you do sort of break the barrier on your first set, don't be afraid to then set a new goal for next week and kind of push on from there each and every week. So now we move on to the Smith machine high incline press, and again actually we're going to come back to that sort of 3 sets, 45 seconds rest. Again, look, we've done 3 presses, 3 heavy presses within the set, which there's, right now, my current sort of recovery capabilities, there's no way I'll be able to sort of recover to my next session doing 6 heavy presses. So it almost makes 6 heavy ones into sort of 3, now 4 sets, but it still allows me to kind of travel across 3 separate exercises, which is almost perfect for what we're doing. So we're going to run through this now. Like I say, and just trying to explain what I'm doing as I go along. Hopefully it kind of makes sense and hopefully helps. Okay, perfect. So that's the pressing portion of the session done, the chest portion done, and we now move on to some bicep work. I like the way this is programmed because ordinarily in the past I would normally do sort of pushing movements, chest into triceps, but by that point my triceps are fatigued from all the press work, that they're not at their freshest and they massively take a hit. The exercises performed for triceps would take a hit in terms of my ability to be able to strength. Something like that. So being able to add in biceps now when my biceps are fresh at the back end of this workout has been a huge welcoming for me, and it's allowed me, because my arms have always been a kind of weakness, and I think it's just down to the programming that I've done in the past, you know. I definitely don't warrant an arm day. I have other areas to grow, so utilising the other days with push pulls and etc is true, but I think now putting the bicep work on, my biceps are fresh from this session, is allowing me to kind of work these at the optimal pace, and like I say, when they're fresh, in a roundabout way. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, I start off my bicep work with a single arm curl. It allows me to activate the muscles before I then go into a dual arm. I definitely have discrepancies either side. I'm more inclined to sort of pull through one arm if I go straight into a double arm, so I like to do a single arm first, more often than not with a hold. Again, just to kind of warm up the biceps to make sure that when I am going into a double, I'm using them both. I'm just trying to maximize the time that I've got with the very little sets that I do for biceps. So yeah, so we'll get into it now. Right guys, I think that's a wrap. I think you probably had enough. Tom's definitely had enough of me talking, but that's a brief overview of kind of where I'm at so far, a little bit of an insight to the session. Obviously, like I say, it was kind of a case of standardising the form, explaining why so, and I think today was good. Shoulder felt okay, so there's definitely room to push that on. There's other things that I do have to bring to light as well. There's a few changes sort of my end. Obviously, it explains the training, the coach is kind of pushing on, but for me, there's exciting things coming this year. So my goals this year are different. I'm stepping away from the stage this year, which I might have already said, but my goal is now looking to 2023. The reason for that is I'm now looking to move category. I'm going to leave men's physique and look to push up to possibly class it, but more towards bodybuilding. So now I'm taking the time that I need to add the tissue that I need to be competitive in that category. Also excitingly as well, guys, I've moved coach. So I'm now working with Ben Chow, and the experience I've had so far has been amazing. I'm excited to see kind of where we've come from to where we are already in the last sort of 12 weeks. The progressions I've made have been huge, and the excitement I have and the trust I have in his ability to get me from, like I say, all the time that we've got is incredibly exciting. Like I say, to enjoy and trust that process is huge. So there's plenty of stuff going on my end, a few changes, which is nice to kind of show you. So it'd be interesting to bring you guys along for the journey. There's plenty going on, like I say, coaching, changes in category, new coaches, there's lots going on. And like I say, these are going to come a lot more frequent. They're going to be at least sort of once a month, which is cool. And like I say, for you guys, if there's anything in particular you want me to go through, obviously there's a training session, there's a little bit about me, where I've been, where I'm going. If there's anything in particular that you would find helpful, please comment below and let me know, and do all the like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, etc. You know, the works, and yeah, please do, because the more following I can get from you guys, the more content I can push out, and I'm just kind of here to help. And yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. I've had loads of fun. Hopefully you have had fun watching, and see you next time.